Welcome back to the Flannel Rocket, the show with everything you need to know about Michigan startup scene. We've got tons for you today, including a recap of Northern Michigan Startup Week, some major fundraising news, a little scorekeeping on how Michigan keeps winning, and we're diving into how Michigan's supply chain expertise is yet another pole in the tent that is positioning this state so well as we head into the next 10 years. Before we jump in, a big thanks to Ryan Morrison and the team at Maximize Media for jumping in to help take these videos to the next level and helping to spread the word about the incredible things happening here in Michigan. Sincerely appreciate the support. Thank you, guys. All right, let's go. All right, we've got a Northern Michigan Startup Week recap. So I was up in Traverse City for a few days recently for Northern Michigan Startup Week, and if you haven't been, set aside some time next year and come to this thing. It's really amazing to see what's happening in Traverse City. And we're going to highlight just a couple of things from the trip. I want to talk about TC New Tech and what's going on there, and also this founder and investor hike to Sleeping Bear Dunes, which is just so good, so good. You'll see when we get into it. All right, so TC New Tech first, right? If you don't know about TC New Tech, it's this quarterly pitch competition that takes place inside the Opera House in downtown Traverse City. There's a $5,000 first place prize. The biggest version of TC New Tech happens during Northern Michigan Startup Week, but again, happens quarterly. So the winner of this one, first place prize, was a new company, brand new, called Fenix Custom, F-E-N-X Custom. No website that I can find, no logo that I can find, but it's a new company using AI to scan and automatically 3D print and ship custom fitted earbuds to you, right? So if you've got like AirPods, like Apple AirPods like I do, these guys, they can scan your ear and send that file to a 3D printer. They're going to 3D print earbuds for you with 99.6% accuracy in determining the fit. They're going to 3D print custom fitted earbuds for you for your headphones or like swimming earbuds. This company is started by industry veteran Gary Lemansky. This is one to watch. So really cool, fun finding a new company up in Traverse City. Fenix Custom took first place. Second place is Farmish, which is the marketplace app for local food and farms. And if you haven't seen it, here's the logo. Started by Tara Osman out in Grand Rapids. They have hundreds of thousands of users, tens of thousands of farms. They've got businesses in Michigan that are using their platform now to help diversify their suppliers and find more local sources of food. It's an incredible company that you should know about. If you know anybody that has a farm, they should check out Farmish. And in third place, Nick. This is a new student startup out of MSU that has created a smart vape to help people quit vaping. It's early days here, but it's a really clever design, right? The idea is that it is a vape, but the amount of nicotine in the vape tapers over time so that ultimately you quit smoking. Very clever design, fantastic mission. Check out Nick's when you can. All right, it's not just the pitch competition at TC New Tech. The 30-second community announcements that happen at the end of this event are like a way for people to kind of pop up and celebrate each other, talk about the great things that are happening in Traverse City. Man, I would love to see that in more places around the state because it's community building. It's doing things together that allows us to go a lot farther, a lot faster. It's really cool. And so kind of speaking of that, let's move on to the second thing from Northern Michigan Startup Week, really big highlight, and it's this founder and funder hike to Sleeping Bear Dunes. This event is the second time ever that we've done this. I was fortunate enough to go last year too, but it's founders and investors that are going on like a mile and a half hike up to Sleeping Bear Dunes, climbing into a bus together, taking this trip out to the dunes, and just enjoying each other's company. We also got a chance to play Flabachi. Oh, I have it. This is a new game. This is a brand new game, and you need to get this game. It's made entirely in Michigan, 100% designed in Michigan. Molds were made in Michigan. The manufacturing is done in Michigan. Everything is done in Michigan, okay? And this game is like Bocce Ball, but flat, made right in Traverse City. Super cool game. I am literally, after recording this video, going to play this game with friends and family today because I've been waiting a year to get this game and I'm super excited about it. I paid for it. This is not free. I get nothing out of this, but you should get this too. Go to flabachi.com, FLABOCCE.com. Find this game. It's another sport made right in Michigan. Super cool. If you want to talk about the culture of founders in Traverse City, they have absolutely laid the foundation for wonderful companies to be built in Northern Michigan. The founders there are building together, and it is so wonderful to see. They refuse to leave anybody behind, right? This is the culture in Michigan. We help each other, right? We're nice to each other. Traverse City is an example of how Midwest nice can be used as a freaking superpower, and this is how it shows up. By enjoying each other's company, by going out and having fun together, building real relationships together. The founders in the Northern Michigan region, they're not just friendly, right? They're actual friends. They're hanging out for birthday parties. They host Friendsgiving with each other, right? It's so fun. The downside of Midwest Nice is we typically have this like allergic reaction to self-promotion, but we're more than happy to promote others like we're doing on this show. So let's do one shout out for someone quietly building something incredible in Traverse City. And that is Nick Beatleston. Nick runs the Grove Community Incubator. Nick is doing the hard work of building community among founders in Northern Michigan. He organized the first Dune trip last year along with Chase Bonig at First Ignite. And Nick organized this one as well. He's the one that communicated with organizations around the state to ensure that everybody was invited. He brought snacks. He put in the work to bring us all together and make sure that it was a really incredible time. Nick and the Grove Community Incubator are they're a cultural cornerstone in not just Traverse City, but in Northern Michigan. I highly respect the work that they're doing. It's been an absolute privilege to be present for some of the incredible events that they do. And it's thanks to Nick's tireless work that we're able to get together and enjoy something that really you just can't do anywhere else in the country. I'm not sure that anywhere else in the country you could say, let's go get on a bus and let's drive out to the dunes together and just spend 2 hours together because we want to be within each other's company and we want to help each other. So thank you, Nick, for continuing to push the ball forward on the founder culture in Michigan in general. I cannot wait to see the little things that get replicated around the state that are similar but different to what y'all are doing up in Traverse City. Pumped for it. All right, let's talk about some VC news. So Ronin Capital, this is Jay Farner, the former CEO of Rocket Companies, launching a relatively new venture capital firm. They've been around for 18 months, but man, they've been operating kind of quietly. They're making a little bit more noise now, and they are investing in Michigan big time. They have invested $25 million in their first 18 months. And more than half of their investments have been made in Michigan-based companies like Bloomscape and Code Labs and Moxa AI and NanoMagic and Pearl Edison and Quickly and Shinola and Signal Advisors and Student Athlete Score. Unbelievably cool. Recently, they named a startup operator, Nikhil Bahadur. Nikhil, I'm sorry if I got your last name wrong, man. They named Nikhil as managing partner and chief investment officer of Ronin Capital. So that's awesome. You have someone that has worked in venture before, that has also worked in startups before, that has also been the founder of a company before, that is now the chief investment officer of another venture capital firm that is looking to invest $20 million a year in hospitality, in sports tech, and a bunch of other industries. So check out Ronin Capital. I think it's Ronin Capital Partners, hanging out in Detroit, Michigan. Very cool new venture capital firm. All right, some startup news. Oh man, and there's a lot of startup news to go over, but let's start with a big one, and it's Optologic raising a new $40 million Series B that was led by New Road Capital Partners with participation from MK Capital, which has some folks in Michigan, and More Strategic Ventures, which has no website. I have no idea who these guys are. Can't find the website. I found one person on LinkedIn, but it was kind of quiet. So this company was started by Don Hicks, right, who was the founder of Llamasoft, which exited for $1.5 billion. That was also a supply chain company. Now you've got Optologic, which is the industry first supply chain optimization and decision-making platform. They raised $40 million. They have this AI-powered scenario modeling platform. They have integrated risk assessments. It's all about helping you build resilient supply chains. As part of this announcement, they released a tariff optimization tool that, in my opinion, every company that has international suppliers should be looking at. Very cool, new-ish company being built here in Michigan and raising a ton of money to scale here. Next, we've got Pearl Edison in Detroit, which has recently partnered with the city of Ann Arbor to launch the A20 heat pump concierge platform, which is designed to help residents electrify their homes with heat pumps. Now, if you aren't aware already, heat pumps are taking over as the dominant way to heat and cool your home. They're 3 to 4 times more efficient than other electric heating sources. They're comparable or cheaper than gas. They have built-in cooling. Modern heat pumps can work in Michigan too, right? They can work in temperatures below minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit now. So if you want to learn more, there's a 5-minute process. You can go to their website and you can figure out how you can electrify your home. And if you're in Ann Arbor, I would highly recommend checking it out. I'll try to put the website in the comments here so you can check out Pearl Edison and learn a little bit more there for yourself. Next, we've got Plinkett in Ann Arbor. This is a fintech company, which is like a white label service for banks and credit unions to help make growing deposits easier and more efficient. and more effective, and it appears to be working, right? In just over a year, deposits for their new high-yield savings account have passed $3 billion. So this is another example of the fintech power in Michigan that has been here for a while. Not a lot of people talk about this stuff, but you have companies like Benzinga and Autobooks and Signal Advisors and InvestNext and Y Combinator-backed BankJoy. You've got Conquer's FinTech and InsurTech Accelerator. You've got the multi-billion-dollar Acrisure in Michigan. There's a ton more. Let me know. If you want me to set up some time, I can dive deeper into Michigan's fintech strength. I might line that up for a future episode. Next, Crain's quarterly wrap-up is out, and in Q1 of 2025, Michigan startups raised $160 million in venture deals. If you want to compare that to last year, we're up 34%. Last year, we raised about $120 million. Now we've got $160, up 30%, 34% year over year. So $33 million was raised in Metro Detroit across 13 deals. You got $54 million that was raised in Ann Arbor across 8 deals, although I will call out that $44 million of that went to MemoryX's Series B. So huge chunk of that went to one deal in a really cool company. And then it looks like about $70 million was raised in West Michigan between mainly Shoulder Innovations and Code Health. But cool to see $160 million raised in Michigan's startup scene. These are numbers that come from Crain's. I'm super interested to learn about Northern Michigan and the UP and what's, again, quietly happening up there, because there are many, many things. There's another Y Combinator-backed company hanging out in Traverse City. There's at least 2 hanging out in Traverse City now. Unbelievable. I saved a really good one for last on startup news. Let's talk about the Rice Business Plan competition, okay? Because if you don't know, the Rice Business Plan competition is the premier global university student pitch competition of the year. And the winner this year is a company called Intero Biosystems, which didn't just win, they absolutely cleaned up. They won what appears to be a record $900,000 in funding during this pitch competition. It's extremely good. I had investors texting me during the competition saying, hold on, let me pull this out to make sure that I get this right. I had investors texting me, hold on, saying I couldn't help myself and told Intero Biosystems that they were probably going to close out their round later that night, so I gave them a $25,000 offer on the spot to reserve an allocation. Like, that's how big of a deal it was while they were there. And if you don't know about Intero Biosystems, you should, right? They create miniature organoids for preclinical testing. They're the first stem cell-derived human intestinal organoid that contains functioning neurons and blood vessels and muscle and inner lining of intestines, right? The goal is to mitigate the risk, reduce the cost of clinical trials, and to identify safer and more effective drugs for patients that need them. This can reduce the time it takes to get a product to market. Very excited about what they're building. Shout out to founders Charlie Childs and Madeline Aiken, who are wonderful people in addition to being great founders. This company is one to watch, Intero Biosystems, and they dominated the Rice Business Plan competition. Okay, can we just keep score for a second? All right, the things that are happening in Michigan, right? We have Intero Biosystems winning Rice Business Plan competition this year. So a company from Michigan wins the premier university student pitch competition of the year in 2025. And last year, 2024, that same pitch competition was won by another Michigan-based company in protein pints, right, out of MSU. So you have a U of M company this year, an MSU company last year, but you have 2 Michigan-based companies that win a global pitch competition that has over 400 applicants and over 40 folks selected to pitch, and Michigan is cleaning house 2 years in a row. Good scoreboard, right? In addition, Michigan raised more money than any other state in the Midwest last year, according to Carta. Scoreboard. In addition, Michigan had the #1 global IPO of 2024 in Lineage Logistics. They raised over $4 billion. We actually had 2 of the last 5 years. The largest IPO of the year was a company that was built in Michigan between Lineage Logistics in Novi and Rivian that built their entire company here before moving to California right before the IPO. I still count it, right? So 2 of the biggest IPOs in the last 5 years come from Michigan. Michigan has the #1 emerging startup ecosystem in the Western Hemisphere, #2 outside of Dubai, right? In Detroit, in the Metro Detroit area. We're the #1 fastest growing state for venture capital investment. And not only have we been the fastest growing state, I believe we've been the most resilient state during this most recent venture downturn. Michigan has raised over $1 billion as a state 4 years in a row, while venture funding across the globe has fallen drastically. Since 2021, the global peak in venture was $643 billion, a huge number that has dropped to $314 billion in 2024. So it's dropped by more than 50% since 2021. California is down by a third. New York is down by nearly 2/3 in venture funding in that same time frame. Michigan is flat. We've gone from $1.09 billion in 2021 to $1.08 billion in 2024. So we're effectively flat in that same time frame where venture funding has dropped precipitously across the globe. And reminder, year over year, we're up 34% from the same time last year. So I'm super excited to see how we do in the remainder of 2025. Scoreboard. One more stat. Since 2018, annual global venture funding is actually down almost 10%, right? So if you go back all the way to 2018, which is starting to be a long time ago now, global venture funding is down nearly 10%. And in Michigan, we've gone from $385 million to $1.08 billion, which means we're up 180%. So global venture funding is down nearly 10% over the last 7 years. And in Michigan, it's up 180%. Scoreboard. Goodness. Where would you rather be? Where would you rather build your company than Michigan right now? Unbelievably good. Okay. Gosh, a couple more things. Techstars increased their funding to $220,000, which means the Techstars plan is still, we're going to give you $20,000. We'll take 5% or whatever that is of your company. But then instead of giving you a $100,000 safe note, they're going to give you a $200,000 safe note. So the funding coming out of Techstars is drastically increasing. And it looks like I actually don't have enough data on this next one, but I'm going to try and do this for you live right now. Detroit has committed $650,000 to tech innovation after a ton of community organizing over the past couple of years. Huge props go to the folks at Black Tech Saturday, Johnny and Alexa Turnage, and everyone that is helping in that community. $500,000 for a Detroit Tech Startup Grant Program, and another $150,000 for a City Tech Challenge pilot. As of recently, these programs aren't live yet, but they are in the budget, which means we're going to see more funding coming to startups directly from the city of Detroit, not even at the state level. Really, really cool to see. All right, let's talk about supply chain and why Michigan is positioned so well to absolutely dominate over the next 10 years. Again, this is another pole in the tent of things that Michigan is good at, has always been good at, that are becoming extremely relevant now, right? We talk about packaging, and we talk about advanced manufacturing, you talk about logistics, you talk about supply chain, right? Michigan is like maybe the best in all of these areas. And now you've got, you have supply chain becoming this critically important aspect of any company that is building a physical good. And Michigan has all the expertise here. We talked about Lineage, which is a unicorn company. They had the largest IPO of 2024. They're the world's largest refrigerated warehouse company. They have warehouses in the US and Canada and Europe and Africa and India and Vietnam and Singapore and Australia and New Zealand, right? And this company has grown dramatically since 2017 when they moved to Michigan from California. I'll say it again. They moved from California to Michigan because they knew, right? Most of their executive team had already chosen to work out of Michigan before they relocated because of the talent pipeline that's here and how optimal of a location it is for their customers. There was zero doubt in their minds that Michigan was going to be the ideal place for them to build their business. So cool to see. Now, they have done over 110 acquisitions. They've been on an absolute tear. They recently purchased Bellingham Cold Storage and the 3 warehouses that they have on the west coast of Washington. Goodness. So Lineage, largest IPO last year, super cool. And we talked recently about Octologic and their $40 million Series B and their new tariff optimization tool, which I would say is extremely useful right now. Don Hicks, the founder of Octologic, was previously the founder of LlamaSoft, another supply chain company, another unicorn company built in Michigan around supply chain. In addition to all of this, the #1 undergraduate supply chain program in this country, MSU. The #1 master's program for supply chain management, U of M. We have the talent, the expertise, and the history to show that Michigan is the place to be when you're talking about anything in supply chain. And so any large company like Wayne State has this global supply chain management program that's backed by the auto industry. It's backed by giants like Amazon, right? So everybody's coming to Michigan when it comes to dealing with anything with supply chain. And 60% of the US and the Canadian population is within a day's drive of Michigan, right? So Michigan's probably going to be a part of your supply chain if you're building a big company. Michigan has access to the 5 Great Lakes, the ports across the 5 Great Lakes, major interstates, Class 1 railroads, and I would say arguably one of the best airports in the country out of Detroit Metro Airport. Unreal. The positioning that we have, unreal. We have a massive EV supply chain buildup. We've got battery plants. We've got rare earth processing. We've got polysilicon. We have the largest polysilicon producer in the U.S., probably in North America, maybe the Western Hemisphere, is Hemlock Semiconductor, which recently got $325 million to advance what they're doing. And we have cold chain logistics in Lineage. We've got food supply chains here. Michigan is like the second most diverse agriculture state in the country, and next to, I believe, California. But goodness, everything is built here. Everything is made here. And it looks like everything is shipped through here or certainly by people that are from here. Wow. Michigan is well positioned to bring the supply chain under control in these chaotic times. And when it comes to the re-domestication of the supply chain, Michigan's probably going to be really central to that too. All right, let's do one fun fact, and it's probably a gimme, right? But do you know which state in the country has the highest concentration of supply chain talent in the U.S.? You're right. You got it. It's Michigan. Yeah, absolutely. We have the best schools for supply chain. We have the best companies around supply chain. Of course, we have the highest concentration of supply chain talent in the country. There we go. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you like learning why Michigan is set to win now and for a long time, I hope you subscribe. I hope you tell your friends about it, right? Like, come on, we're on this awesome journey about sharing the news on why Michigan is so incredible, the incredible things that are happening here in this state. And I hope you bring everyone along for the journey here. And we'll catch you next time on the Flannel Rocket.